So how many of you have ever had a time in your life where you stepped away from something and you're like, wow, I can never get those 2 hours back? Anybody ever felt that way? Well, I want to tell you, you are not going to have that experience today. In my experience, this is going to be one of those days you're going to say, wow, I am so encouraged. I'm so inspired. I'm so glad I spent the time. So welcome to Narrowgate graduation. We are celebrating some very fine young men today, and I just can't wait for you to hear how God has been walking in their stories with them. So I want to see who is in the room today. If you are a family member of someone graduating or a dear friend who came to celebrate them, can you just stand and let us see you today? Welcome. Let's give them a hand. Well, as you know, Narrowgate is not just one person's story, but it's a family story. So thank you for inviting us to be a part of the story and for you becoming part of the Narrowgate family. We're so thankful for you. I would also like to recognize some folks that you might want to meet. Do we have everyone in Narrowgate who is a staff member? Would you stand, please? These are the folks that have been investing in the lives. It's wonderful. If you're here and you're part of the Narrowgate board, would you also stand? That's awesome. We have some board members here. That's awesome. If you are someone who volunteers with Narrowgate, we could not do this without some very gracious parts of our family that are volunteering. They're out in the wood shop. They're helping with a lot of different things. If you volunteer and just are a big part of the Narrowgate family, just serving, would you stand with us too? We want to say thank you to you as well. So thank you so much. Yes. These are beautiful, beautiful gifts to us, so thank you. If it is your very first time to be on this property, to Narrowgate Lodge, would you stand up? We want to welcome you to the Narrowgate family. Awesome. We have some folks in the room. If you don't mind, just to raise your hand if it's your first time. We've got a Connect card. We'd love to stay connected to you, to share some of the stories. We'll put you on our email list and just celebrate other stories. So if you raise your hand, and the folks who have these Connect cards, if you can just pass those out. We can just drop those off by the table. We'd love to stay in touch. I have a little bit of housekeeping today. If you need more coffee, we have delicious Narrowgate coffee over here. If you need a restroom, it's back to my right, so you can just step right back here. If you have a little person who has a little energy and they are need a little space to roam, you can go to our room here, and you can still see everything that's going on, but they can just be a kid. So those are a few things that we have there. If it is your first time, or maybe you haven't been here for a while, you might be thinking, what is Narrowgate? Well, I'm so glad you asked. We have the beautiful stories that you're going to get to hear today. Narrowgate is an 8-month experience where young men, ages 18 to 25, come here, and they quiet everything else in the world, and they spend time with God, and they find out the answer to 2 questions specifically. Who am I, and why am I here? And I'm so excited to tell you that you're going to hear today how God has answered those questions in these graduates' lives. Narrowgate is also a bridge program. This is young men who have decided to stay on as a Narrowgate intern, either working here at the lodge or in our businesses. They are attending weekly classes to grow as leaders, and they are going to make such a difference. They already are in our communities. And if you're a bridge student, would you stand? I didn't have you guys stand till now. Look at these guys. They are pouring back. Yes. We're always excited when they decide to stay for the bridge because we get to experience what God has done to them when they're calling back to the other students and growing in their leadership, and so we're thankful for them. Narrowgate is also 3 businesses located in Columbia. How many of you have been to our Narrowgate artisan shops? Any of you? Awesome. That's so good to know. We have 3 businesses there. Tennessee Box Beams, so if you're building a house, want a floating shelf, porch wraps, mantles, they'll be built by some really fine craftsmen. We have Narrowgate Leather, which I had my Bible of 35 years restored last year, where we can restore a Bible, or you can have a handcrafted Bible journal to give as a gift to have for yourself. Those are being produced there. And then also Narrowgate Coffee. I love Narrowgate Coffee. I'm so thankful. We have that. We're serving it today. But all of these businesses are an extension where young men are continued to be discipled. We're being the church in the workplace. We have Wednesday Bible studies where people from the community join the staff and students of Narrowgate, digging into the Word, continuing to grow in our relationships with God. And so you're invited, but that is an extension of Narrowgate. In addition to providing, as you purchase from these businesses or others do, it helps us create a sustainability and keep Narrowgate tuition free. So that's Narrowgate in a very small nutshell. We do have so much more to tell you today. And I'd like to invite my dear friend, Weston Brand, to come up, and he'll be your tour guide today.
Tour guide. That's me. Hopefully I can live up to the hype. Okay, got to rise out of some of you. Appreciate that. This little section here, we're going to hang out right here. Hey, while we're talking about people that have been involved with Narrowgate, that have served Narrowgate, that have supported Narrowgate, there is somebody in the room that I would like to highlight. His name is PJ Heimerman. He is on the board of directors for Narrowgate. He's been a long-time supporter, been involved from the very start. Him and his wife, Betsy, who's floating around here somewhere. Right next to him. That's a good place to float. Today's his birthday. So, yeah, let's together do the awkward thing of singing for him on his birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear PJ. Happy birthday to you. All right, thank you guys. Nothing better than a group full of strangers singing you the happy birthday song. Hey, tomorrow's my birthday, just saying, in case anybody wants to put that in their calendar. No, oh gosh. Stop. Thank you. That's so nice. I appreciate you guys. Anybody else got a birthday just in the next month or so that we can roll out some songs? Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. For those of you that this is your first time, I will serve as sort of a tour guide. I want to make sure that we navigate through this ceremony in a way that you understand what's going on and can appreciate the significance of the different elements of this ceremony. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to call out our graduate candidates. And that's right, they are graduate candidates. Something still could go wrong. Okay, so, they are going to be presented today by gentlemen that they have built a relationship with over the last 8 months. They're also graduates. It's guys that they have decided that they want to spend the next year staying connected to community. So they're going to be presented by young men that have committed the next year to walk this journey of Christian life together with them, to pray with them, to meet with them, to make sure that they can integrate back into the world well. Because that's something that we've noticed is very important in, being in the safety of this sort of umbrella here at Narrowgate. You're isolated from the rest of the world. You're able to quiet your mind and all the noise so that you can encounter God in a real way. And then, unfortunately, at the end of it, you have to go back out into all the noise and all the mess. And you guys know how the world is. And so they've committed, these young men have committed to walk with them for the next year to make that transition as effective and helpful as possible. So I'm going to call them all out. They're going to walk through here. I'm going to ask them some questions, and then we're going to get started, okay? So go ahead and give a round of applause for the graduate candidates of February 2026. All right. You present men today as candidates for graduation from Narrowgate. What are their names?
Lawson Hulsey, Phoenix Cain, Mason Coates, Nate Mackin.
Have these men successfully completed all the requirements necessary for graduation from Narrowgate? If so, answer, they have. Do you stand as a witness to their confession of faith in Jesus Christ as the one true and living Son of God? If so, answer, we do. Do you attest that to the best of your knowledge, these men are set for the defense of the gospel? If so, answer, we do. You may be seated. Can you believe it? No. You made it. Been a long journey. I'm just kidding. They actually weren't that bad. And I've got a lot to compare to. Yeah. Well, you guys know that we can't leave you without one final Narrowgate study, right? So every graduation we have somebody who's connected to the family. A lot of times it's a graduate. Somebody that just wants to leave them with a kind of a final exhortation, final Bible study. And so today, that young man is Mr. Isaac Holter, who graduated last class. Yeah. He is very well liked, obviously, and he's gonna have one more thing to say to you guys.
Thank you. Well, a few years ago, I found myself in a little bit of a low point. I had recently lost a friend of mine, and it led me down a path that I wouldn't normally choose. And so at this time also, I would have phone calls with my dad. Me and him would spend almost every week talking on the phone. We'd spend a few hours just giving life updates. We'd talk about everything. On this particular phone call, I was sharing with him just all the updates going on in my life. Few of them were positive. And after about an hour of me talking, he stopped me. And the next words that he said became a question that I would revisit for the next 3 years. And so as I was thinking about what to talk about, I went back to this question. And the question that he asked me was, do you want to be a head or do you want to be a tail? And I was taken back by this question. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Immediately I thought of a coin, and that wasn't what he was talking about. And so to simply clarify it, the defining difference between the head and the tail is the posture of choice. As you guys have learned, one of the only things, if not the only thing that we've been given in this life is a choice, the freedom of our choices. And so what my dad was trying to tell me was, are you going to be active in what you choose to pursue? Or are you going to sit back and be passive and allow things and to just follow the things that have been set out in front of you? And so I kept thinking about this, and I was led to a passage in Proverbs. And in Proverbs 4:23, it says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. And looking back on it, what my dad was trying to get me to see was that the things that we pursue and the things that we follow get to be the things that we become. But in order to understand this passage, there are two words in this that I think are really important to define. And the first one is diligence. Keep your heart with all diligence. Now, I'm not great at pronouncing Hebrew, but I'll just give you the definitions. So if you look at the Hebrew root for this word diligence, it's defined as to guard, to keep, to watch and preserve. Now, when I read this definition, I think of a shepherd. A shepherd watches his sheep. He guards over them. He keeps them and he preserves them for the days ahead. And so as we've talked about being a shepherd a lot, what we've also talked about is being a good steward. A shepherd is a good steward of the sheep that he's been given. And so I say in this passage, I think diligence and stewardship are pretty synonymous. The second word I'd like to define are issues. When we think of issues, a lot of times we think of negative things. It could be an argument or a problem or a task at work that's getting in the way of production. But in this definition, issues means to go out or to come forth. The way I like to say it is the results will flow out of. So I rephrase this verse, and I say, steward your heart with everything you have, for out of it flows your life. You see, this passage is not only an important truth, but when you put it in these terms, it's a command. It's a command to steward our heart. And so I ask you the question, how do we steward our heart well? For this, we flip over and I go into the Gospels and I found a parable. It's found in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but I specifically love Mark for this. And in Mark chapter 4, we find the parable of the sower. It's a simple parable, but with really deep meaning. And so before we dive into it, there's a few terms in here I'd like to define on the front end. The first one is that the sower represents God. The seed represents truth. And that's really important because a lot of times when we talk about this passage, we just talk about it being the gospel. That's not wrong. But I don't think it fully encompasses the full picture of what it is. The word of truth starts with the gospel. And it finishes with the gospel. And it's everything in between, but it's also any sort of truth that you will find within the word. And the soil represents our hearts. So what's going on here? The sower goes out and he's spreading the seed. And the seed falls along four different types of soil. The first time, the seed falls along the path. And the path, if you've ever walked along, is a little bit tougher than the rest of the soil. It's been hardened by the people walking over it, by horses walking through it. And what this represents is a heart that has been so used to the habits and patterns in our own life that it becomes hardened. And so this seed, it falls along the top of the soil and it has nowhere to go because it falls on a hardened heart. So it takes no root. It's not even able to sprout. And because of that, the birds come along and they take it away. So the truth in this is that with a hardened heart, truth has no place to stay. And the enemy comes along and it takes us, and before we're even able to recognize it. And there's no trace of it ever being there. And so in the second seed, it falls along the rocky soil. Now with this, there's a little bit of soil, but it's shallow. There's rocks underneath it. So the seed's able to sprout. It's able to find a place, and it starts its own little bit of life, but it's not able to take any root because of the rocks underneath it. And so when the sun comes up, the plant withers and it dies. Looking at this, I think that the rocks represent our own understanding. Because you see, when God shows us an important truth, but we rely on our own understanding, it's able to take a little bit of life. But then also, when the sun comes up, the sun represents the trials and persecutions in our life. And I love it because it's not a matter of if the sun will come up, but it's a matter of when the sun will come up. And so when these trials and tribulations come along in our life, we forget the truth. We rely on our own understanding, and because of that, the truth dies. So we look at the third seed. The third seed falls along the thorny patch. You guys have been here long enough. If you've walked through a thorn patch, you can barely walk through it. They grow thick and they grow together. And so there's two things that are happening here. Below the soil, all the roots of the thorns are taking all the nutrients that the seed would need in order to grow. But the seed and its determination is able to sprout. But when it sprouts, there's nothing better for it above the surface. It's crowded. It's not able to get any sunlight that it needs. And it's choked out by the thorns. I think the thorns here, they represent our desires. Or actually, I don't think. That's what Jesus explains it later in the chapter. He says that these are our desires. They could be good desires or they could be bad, but either way, the purpose that they serve is to serve are the desires that serve ourselves, and they serve the evils in this world. And so the big difference between the thorns and the rocks is that our desires are living within us. They're ever changing. And when we allow these things to grow in our heart, they rip away the truth because they don't align with it, simply for that. So what am I meaning by all this? Let's go back to our question. How do we steward our hearts well? In this, Jesus has given us 3 examples of what it looks like when the truth falls away. But if we compare it to the other side, we can see the truth in it. So if you were to ask me, how can we steward our hearts well? I'd be able to summarize this into one simple phrase. Everyone can steward their hearts by sitting in God's presence, rooting themselves in truth, and desiring His will. Why do I say that? Because when we sit in God's presence, we're able to see his holy and pure nature. And in that, we get to see our brokenness and our sinful nature. This is humility. This is what breaks a hardened heart. When we root ourselves in truth by reading God's word, we begin to see that our understanding really doesn't make that much sense. And that as we read throughout Scripture and we get to see things from the perspective of God, that's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that can explain what's going on in our world. When we desire God's will, these evil desires are removed. He clears the thorns. But in his grace, he doesn't just remove them, but he replaces these desires. He gives us desires, those good desires that got twisted. He allows those desires to align with his will. So if we do these things, if we steward our heart by sitting in God's presence, rooting ourselves in truth, and desiring his will, we find ourselves at the fourth seed. And in the fourth seed, we find that it falls on good soil, a heart that has been cultivated by God. And in this fourth seed, it grows and it produces a crop. And Jesus says it produces a crop that's 30, 60, or 100 times what was sown. What do these numbers mean? See, in first century farming, the most that a crop could possibly produce is 15 times what the farmer had sown. That was the absolute best that they could produce. Typically, they'd get anywhere between 5 to 10 times. But the absolute best that they could do on their own was 15. Jesus immediately starts with 30. He doubles it. So to the people standing there, to the farmers, they're like, wow, that's pretty incredible. Jesus goes a step further. If that's not enough for you, let's double it again. And we find ourselves at 60. And so at this point, this is an unbelievable number. But what's really fascinating is the third number, because Jesus doesn't just double it again and go straight to 120, but he stops at 100. And so that stuck out to me, and I was like, why is that? Well, you see, that is something that the Jews would actually be able to recognize. Because back in Genesis 26, we see the story of Isaac, where God calls him into a land, and actually in this time there was a famine. And so Isaac, making the rational decision to, if there's a famine, you go where the food is. That makes sense. But God stops him and says, wait, dwell in the land that I have set out before you. And in that, I will fulfill the covenant that I set out for Abraham. And so Isaac, in obedience, he does that. He sits there and he plants a crop. And in that, God directly blesses him with 100, and he's able to reap 100-fold of what he planted. And so in Mark chapter 4, the reaping of 100-fold represents the direct blessing of God and his intervention. So, this is all great, but I want to clarify a few things and wrap this picture together. The analogy that I gave at the beginning between the head and the tail, what I'm not trying to say in this, that you are to lead your own life. You are not the head of your own life. We've understood that. God is the head of the church. Jesus is the word made truth. He is the one who leads us. All this analogy is to say is that, are you going to be active in what you pursue? Or are you going to sit back and allow life to just happen to you? The second thing is that what this parable isn't, is it's not prosperity. The fruit of the crop, the harvest, is not material. I'm not telling you guys that if you steward your heart well, that God's going to give you all the material things that you want, all of the comforts. That is not what's promised to us. But the point of stewarding our heart well is so that we can obtain the character of God slowly and in time as he reveals his character to us. So, what I want to say is, as your old barn leader, I'm proud of you guys. Because you guys get to sit up here and we get to celebrate you all for completing this program. Staff, students, family, and volunteers. Everyone in this community is celebrating you all for completing these 8 months. But more importantly, you guys are being recognized for the gospel that has been planted in your hearts and for the fruit that we've gotten to see from it. But I want to leave you guys with a charge. Please, please do not take this graduation as an opportunity to just coast in your spiritual walk. This is just the beginning. This is just the start. Here at Narrowgate, we set out time, an hour in the morning, to spend time with God every day. And you guys in service, you've gotten to see a little bit of what it is to have to set your own schedule and do those things. This is what you'll be doing for the rest of your life. And it's a beautiful thing. So I say to you, walk forward with boldness. Stand in truth. Steward your heart by sitting in God's presence, rooting yourselves in truth, and desiring His will in all that you do. This is not something that you're going to do perfectly, but it's something you can always come back to. And if you're able to do this, you will be able to see fruit in your life. You'll be able to look back and be a different person than who you were. It won't be radical. It won't hit you in the face like a stop sign. But what you will find yourself being able to do is loving people in ways that you never thought you could love them. You will find yourself being joyful in the worst situations. You will find yourself being kind to the guy who keeps stepping on your toes. All of these fruits of the Spirit, those are the things that others will get to harvest through you. The fruits of the Spirit are not just for ourselves. Rather, they're more for the people around us than they are for us. So what I want to say is, finally, I love you guys. I'm proud of you. Keep going. Thank you all.
Excellent job. These guys have spent the last 8 months learning about who God is, how He speaks, how to understand what it is that He's saying to them. And that's a pretty cool thing. Like, how many of you guys have been Christians for a while? Yeah, doesn't it feel like that, like being able to hear God's voice and know what He's saying to you is kind of a big deal? Yeah, I think it's a big deal. At least, a significant component of your faith. Am I boring you guys? Just Josh. Okay. I'm sure he's taking care of an emergency. Thankful for you, Josh. Yep. So these guys have been spending the last 8 months just digging into the different nooks and crannies of God's character and His nature. And what's cool is they learn how to hear from God through the program. And then in the last phase, the service phase of the Narrowgate program, they go on what's called a vision and purpose solo, where they go out by themselves in the woods for 24 hours, and they ask God a set of specific questions. Questions like, God, what words do you use to describe me? God, I know that you've given me specific talents and gifts. What are those gifts so that I can begin to use them to fulfill your purposes for my life? These really awesome questions. And the coolest thing about the Vision and Purpose Solo is that they ask these questions and they get answers. And so they write these answers down, words from God in first person, like He's using the pen for them. And they consolidate those answers into what's called a vision and purpose statement. This is essentially a letter from God about who they are and why they're here. Now, how handy would that be if every Christian had one of those in their Bibles? And what's cool is it's not just about the solo. It's not just about this moment. It is, I would say it's probably the climactic moment of the Narrowgate experience. And I think other graduates in the room would agree with me. But what's cool is it's not just something that can happen at Narrowgate. Like, you could write one of these letters every day. And that's prayer. These guys learn how to pray. They learn how to hear from God. And so they're going to read their statements for you today as a marker, as a proclamation. Like, hey, I encountered God at Narrowgate, and He told me who I am, and I believe him. And he told me what I'm here for. And what's interesting is you're not going to hear super specific details about, hey, you're going to work at this place, or you're going to go live in this state, or you're going to go do this for a job. He says less about what they're meant to do and more about who they're meant to be, because that's unchanging. In whatever avenue of life these young men find themselves in, they know who they're supposed to be. They know who God created them to be. And so that's really cool. So Lawson, I'm going to call you up first, but first, if you don't mind, before you stand up, I think I'd like to share with each of you something that I have observed during your time here, and something that I actually admire about each of you. So Lawson, one of the first moments that I knew that I was going to like Lawson was on day one, orientation. Okay, so we're all sitting in the living room, and I just, in a moment where I wanted them to kind of introduce themselves, I said, hey, why don't you guys tell me, who you are and why you're here, And they're like, well, that's kind of what I signed up for, is to figure out the answers to those questions. But I was like, just tell me, why are you here? What brought you to Narragansett? So he said, I'm Lawson. I'm like, all right, why are you here, Lawson? Well, my parents made me. Because my parents brought me here. And I was like, okay, so he's going to be one of those guys. And then it was maybe 2 days later, we went on a dump run. We take all of our trash to the landfill in Centerville. And so I just, I had that. That was my only experience with Lawson, was that moment. And so I brought it up, and immediately he was like, man, I shouldn't have said that. He said, I was feeling frustrated, like I wanted to pay my parents back for, making me come, but I realized that's not why I'm here. Like, I don't want to be this way anymore. And I was like, okay. So it's one of those guys. The honest kind. The self-aware kind. The humble kind. And that's what I've seen in you, man. And I don't know if you feel that, but you have humility. You have the ability to self-assess and recognize when you're off base. And dude, I wish there were more people in the world like that. There are people that walk their entire journey through life, deflecting, defending, deferring, dismissing entirely things that they're doing that are not of the character of God. They can't see it. And so therefore it shows up in their life as selfish and prideful and defensive. And that's not who you are, man. And so that was the day that I realized that, no, I actually admire this guy. So don't lose that. Yeah, I love you. Come on.
I'm super nervous right now. All right. Dear son, I love you so deeply. I made you with detail, and I know you deeply. As we have walked in this relationship together, you have learned of my love. You have more than learned. You have experienced. You have known my love. The moments we have spent together have changed you. You have found something you truly can't live without in me. Your heart has changed, and you want me. I recognize this, and I am proud. I find joy in relationships with my sons and daughters, and you, Lawson, are a son that brings me joy. When I look at you, I see nothing but my son that was bought and paid for by me. My son who has returned home. Now that you're home, I hear you asking me, what now? Quite a bit. Well, now that you know my love, you are charged to share it. I want you to show others the gift you have been so freely given in me. You will serve the people in your life, and you will do it with the salvation of others in mind. I have given you a light that you are to shine from the mountaintops and take to the nations. You are entering a season where you will begin to be tested. Through this testing, you will see the change of your heart, and through it, you will grow in your dependence on me. As you walk through these tests and continually focus on me, I will begin to show you more and more of my goodness in your life. As you know this goodness deeper, it will flow out of you in abundance. People will start to know pieces of me through the love and faith I've allowed you to have. You will find what life truly is in service to others. You will realize the only authentic reward in this life is serving others through me. I have set you apart for this purpose, Lawson. When you feel lost, look to me. I will guide you. When the pain is deep, confide in me, for my healing is deeper. And when you're on top of the world, praise me with all your heart. I am proud of you, and I love you. Go change this world one heart at a time.
Phoenix. How many of you know Phoenix? Okay. I don't think he talked for the first 3 months that he was here. Yeah. I'd say, hey, Phoenix, how are you? Good. Okay. But during our time together, I have watched you slowly but surely open up. I think that we identified at some point that there was a certain anxiety that would come up when interacting with other people because of a lack of trust in other people. And dude, I know that that's a hard thing to navigate through, because if you put yourself out there, then you risk being hurt by others. When you give some of yourself to other people, you are giving them the ability to harm you. That's a hard thing to get over. But he's gotten over it. You know, I don't think I'll ever forget some of the moments where I would ask you a question and we would just sit there in silence for like 3 minutes. Because you don't know this about me, but if I ask a question, like say to a group of people and, nobody really feels like answering, so nobody speaks up, then I'll just lock in. And we're gonna wait for somebody to talk. And that was an unfortunate thing for poor Phoenix, because if it was just me and him, then we're going to sit there in silence. Well, was it like our first Bible study together? I asked everybody a question, then I asked you, and then you just didn't respond. And then I just sat there, and everybody else in the group is like looking at me, like getting ready to say something. I'm like, no, just wait for him. But dude, he's got such good things to say. You have a voice. You have truth in you. And to not share that with the world would be a pity. It'd be a shame. And so I'm grateful to have been part of the journey where you're learning that your voice matters and that you have something to say. So why don't you come up here and share what you have to say, or rather what God has to say.
Oh boy. Dear Phoenix, my son, I've made you a man of God. I've given you strengths that are unique to you. Use them for my glory, son. I'm most proud of you when you're praying, when you're lifting people up, when you take risks, and when you're listening to me, when you spend time talking to me, studying my word, and spending time with people and having conversations with them about me. I've given you words that describe you for the man I've created you to be. I've made you loving and caring, kind and joyful, loyal and gentle, wild and one of a kind, patient and trustworthy. I've also given you desires that make you come alive, like talking with your Narragate brothers, reading books and drawing, cooking, baking, and woodworking. I've given you talents in the Holy Spirit as a counselor. I've given you personal gifts that are being able to teach people who don't know how to cook or bake some of your knowledge. When reading, being able to share what you've learned, and when talking to your brothers at Narragate, being able to teach them. And when woodworking, being able to teach them what you've learned. I've made you special, son. You can do anything through me. Go out and help others. I have formed you and shaped you into the man you are today. Go out and do hard tasks and take risks for me, my son. With everything I've given you, go out into the world and make it known that you are my son and that I love and care for you deeply. You will accomplish my works. I have loved you deeply, and I want you to do the same to others. Son, I love you, and I'm proud to call you my son.
Mason. Unlike Phoenix, Mason has no problem talking. Yeah. Lots to say with this one. But I'll tell you this, man. One thing that I've admired about you from the start is the way that you have navigated learning about what a man isn't. I think that you've grown up with an image of what a man's man looks like. And I think that you found out here that it's okay if you don't hit that image. A man isn't somebody who just stuffs everything inside and doesn't share what's going on with him. A man isn't somebody who's hardened to relationship, to emotion, to sensitivities. Man, aren't you glad? Because you got emotion in there, brother. We've all heard it. And you know that it's okay. In fact, God made you that way. I think you found out what it actually means to be involved in a community of people who love you and care about you and want to know all that's going on in there. I think the thing that I admire most about you is that you are willing to pursue truth and apply that to your life. It may happen slowly, right? You may have to hear something over and over again. But every time that you learn something new about God, you just tuck that away in your spirit. And you remember that I don't have to be the way that I thought I had to be. All you have to be is the man that God created you to be. That's it. I'm proud of you. I love you. Come on.
Thank you, Weston.
You're welcome.
All right, here we go. My loved son, you were broken for a purpose, called and set apart to seek me with boldness and compassion, and nurturing for the brokenhearted you find along the way. Be a fortress for them as you travel. Persevere with fire unquenchable. My light in a blaze of mountains is holy and not for the faint of heart. The light in your soul I have given you will lead many to me. My nations depend on you. You are fervent, fierce, humble, strong, stubborn. Divinely inspired and led. Don't ever forget led. You desire to be needed. Your soul hungers for adventure and randomness. It's free, it's bold, it's determined, and it's sold out to me. Everything down to where you were born has prepared you for the role in this world I have given you. You love the outdoors and growing closer to me. He told me to put this in all capitals. I am all you need. Show others that same joy for the rest of your life. Give to others what you have been given. This is also in capitals. Be free. This is as well. Take the pressure off yourself. You desire to ride and rope and give others that joy. Glorify me in all you do, and I will give you a platform. When I am most proud of you is when you make me the center of your focus and love others. When you submit to me and give me control, I never fail you. My son, beloved, your gift to the world is you. Not what you do, just you. I am so proud of you walking with me. The depth of your soul is amazing. Let what I've given you, learn to use what I've given you as your hand in life, not all in one night. My wisdom I've given you to take hold of and follow. My joy I've given you to strengthen others and make new what was old. My personal work I have given you to do under the sun while you are here, which you will be rewarded for here and in heaven. Pray on behalf of others, putting them above yourselves, and know that that is my will for your life. My sojourn son, I have pulled you from Egypt. Like Peter in the water, I have strengthened you to stand in faith, not wavering, grounded as an oak weathering the storm. You are a strong and devout servant of mine. My son, I have made you to bring unity and peace. You are a mighty warrior for me, and I am honored to take you into your next battle.
He said, uh-oh. Nate. Let me tell you something about Nate. He is laser focused. Let me rephrase that. He can be laser focused. So the thing about being laser focused is that there's just one focus. Everything else that's happening out here gets zero focus. Like, for example, remembering to print out your vision and purpose statement for your graduation day and having to get the guy presenting you to go find it. Zero focus. Here's the admirable part. The things that you laser focus on, man, what a gift to the world that can be. You have laser focused on several things in your past, right? Guns, politics, things like that. But here I watched you laser focus on truth. And what you do with that, when you have focused your entire being on pursuing truth, the way that you internalize that truth and then you can articulate it to others is incredible, man. You're a teacher because you process things quick, you're intelligent, you're sharp, you think differently than other people. And what a gift that is to the world. As much as it is in your ability, continue to laser focus on that, man. The way that you internalize truth, you apply it to who you are, and you share it with the world around you. That's the gift that you have to offer this world. I'm proud of you. Come on up.
Nathaniel, I gave you a life for my kingdom. I put a heart for people, for you to love them and to spread my joy. Your laugh brings people in. I love when you learn about me, and I made your mind to learn to get closer to me. I will take you as far as you want to go in understanding, but it has to be built on trust in me. I am proud of the ways you grew in your ability to love, the way you've mentored others, and when you've been so passionate about me, you just have to share about what you have learned to others to bring them closer to me. Don't keep your knowledge to puff yourself up, but do it in love to further my kingdom. You are a fighter for me, and you are alive only because I love you. I chose you before the water broke, and when you were born early to be a miracle, only explainable by my power and love. When you fought for life in the NICU, I saved you because I love you. Your story brings people to me, and your name means gift from God. Be my gift to the world. Point to me through loving people, being a light to them, and making disciples in my name, not for your glory, but mine. I love you so much that I sent my only son, Jesus, to die for you. You're my gift to your family, friends, and ultimately the world, and you share my name to them. Speak my name boldly in love and truth, and I can't wait for you to see what I have in store for you.
All right, the next part of this ceremony is maybe my favorite part. You've spent the last 8 months realizing that God loves you, that God accepts you, that you are favored by him, and that you are a man of God. This ceremony is meant to show you that this whole room accepts you as a man. The gentlemen sitting behind you have committed to the next year of your life to walk with you because they are presenting you here as not just a graduate from Narrowgate, but as a man of God, that you are set for the defense of the gospel. But there's something that's different about that blessing, that proclamation of being a man when it comes from a father figure, And so this next segment, I feel like any sorts of introductions to it would dilute it, but they're going to have a father's blessing. Their father figure is going to come up here and lay his hand on their head and pronounce a blessing, saying, "You are a man." And so a couple of you guys mind grabbing this for me? I'm going to call these guys up, and I'm just going to go ahead and get this little housekeeping thing out of the way. Fathers, whenever you come up here on the stage, I'm going to awkwardly place this microphone right in your face. And if you would just help me to make sure that you're speaking into it so that we can all hear it, that would be great. So let's start with Lawson and Larry.
Lawson, you're my firstborn son, in whom I'm well pleased. May 15th, 2007 was the day that would change my life for the better forevermore. I'm so happy and grateful that God blessed me to be your dad. Before you were born, I didn't know if I would have enough love in my heart for you, but the Lord has a way of expanding our capacity with each new child. From that day forth, I knew you would do great things and have amazing adventures in your life. You have always been so full of love and compassion and have never been afraid to share it. Everywhere you go, people are drawn to you by your love and natural leadership. You pretty much came out of the womb going full throttle in everything you've done. I'll always remember the first time you mastered riding your bike without training wheels and the sheer joy displayed in your celebration. Watching you play sports and give your absolute all no matter what. You have no quit in you. From the Maxwell's mud run when you were 5 and cried the whole mile, to suffering through wrestling practice, yet again crying, but never quitting. That made me so proud. You just don't quit, and a man who won't quit can never be beat. You've had your share of adversity in your life, but Romans 8:28 promises that God works all things together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. His grace and mercy has led you to this moment, and I'm so proud of your submission to him. The fact that you are leaning not on your own understanding, but seeking him and his plan above yours is an amazing thing and will take you far. Well done, my son. If you stay obedient to him, he will never steer you wrong. The Lord is so proud of you and will always be there for you no matter what. The way you've pursued him is awe-inspiring. If I could give you any advice as your dad, it would be to honor the Lord always in everything you do. Stay in his word, pray without ceasing, do everything as unto him and for his glory. When you make mistakes, turn back to him quickly, and he'll always be right there. I know you'll be a great husband and father one day, and I want to leave you with this. I love you more than you can ever imagine and always will, no matter what.
Love you.
Love you. Proud of you. Let's do Nathaniel and Sean.
Good. Dear Nate, ever since your mom was pregnant with you, you have been special. At no point have you ever not been unique. God decided to deliver you to us early, 29 weeks to be exact. I spent many nights praying for you, and I have never stopped. At least a couple times a day, I say a prayer for you. I know the Holy Spirit has been walking with you every step of the way at Narrowgate. The road at Narrowgate has taught you to dig deeper into the Word, dig deeper into who you are and what you believe. You have learned to be quiet and to listen to what God has to say to you. You have learned to ask questions and to listen to God's answers. You have learned to serve others. You have learned to use your hands and to be productive to a larger cause. Each of these things will serve you well as you strive to find your next steps in life. Our hope when you went to Narrowgate was to allow you a place to reset, to spend time with quality men, and to hopefully find your calling. We are so glad you decided to continue your journey by taking an internship at Narrowgate. We know that it will allow you to continue building on the foundation you have already forged. You now know better than ever that God has a plan for you. You now need to explore that plan. Listen to the Channel 2 Nate versus the Channel 1 Nate. The road will become more clear each step of the way. The road is not always easy. Remember the words that connect you to God. You are chosen. He has a plan for you. He knows you have the ability to use your hands, your joy, and your laughter. All of these things please him. I am so proud of you, son. You have shown your ability to take a step back, reset, build a new path with God at the forefront of your journey. We cannot wait to see where this new road takes you. We love you, we are proud of you, and we see God's hand in the man you are becoming.
Phoenix and Russell.
Phoenix, you were born November 19, 2005. Unfortunately, I had not come into your mom's life yet, but since then, seeing pictures of your birth and pictures of you growing up, wish I could have been there for you and your mother. unforeseen circumstances growing up had you on a path with a father figure who had mistreated you, took anger out on you, and made you probably feel like you didn't belong. You began to close doors on interacting as much with people, not sure of yourself in conversation, decisions, and also made you quick to anger. Since I've met you, it has been a real blessing to get to know you as a friend and as a son. When you're in your elements, you're fun and involved in games and laughter and making us laugh. I love that about you, Phoenix. The fun-loving son. I want to tell you in this life, you can't let your past hold you back. So when you came to me and your mom about Narrow Gate, we saw it as a true blessing. It showed that you don't want your past to define you, yet start fresh as a man and set a new foundation for yourself. There's a big decision you made for yourself, and I can't tell you how proud I am. The up spirit I hear in your voice when you would call in and talk to us, I can tell you had come so far in your walk with God and reading His Word. You've made such great friends that help lift you up and work as a team doing His work and helping others. Like when y'all go and feed the homeless, and when y'all went and worked on houses in Katy, Texas. We like when y'all go, excuse me. We enjoyed getting to sit and talk about what you've been doing and meeting the guys you've been close with. I just pray that you take this experience and don't look back. And before you... Sorry, I kind of lost my place here. And don't look back before you came here. That one day at a time, take one day at a time, set goals, and work towards those goals. Just know as your dad, I will support your decisions. I will lift you with encouragement, and I will be there anytime you need me. I know when you leave here, you will have the foundation you need to start your own life and become whatever you desire. Just always remember to put God first in your life. Pray before making decisions, and He will give you the desires of your heart. One day, when you meet the woman the Lord has waiting for your wife, make sure God is the center of that marriage and your household. Even at that, life won't be easy street, and Satan will always try to get his foot in the door. I want you to know, me being your dad, when you struggle or you need someone, I'm here. When you need help on a decision and not quite sure what to do, call me. We will pray through it. Never be too embarrassed or ashamed to call me, especially if you can't get the fish to bite your hook. Just know I got you. From now on, I just want you to know that you have a dad you can count on, to be your rock to lean on, to confide in, and that I will always have your back as you will always be my son. I love you, Phoenix, and will continue to pray for your life's journey.
Mason and Jeff.
Mason, I believe the Lord spoke you into existence when your mother was a young girl. He told your mother that she would have a son one day, and you, would do great things. By the provision of our Heavenly Father, through the resources of Grandma Peggy and modern medicine, you were meant to be. Like in Revelation 12:15 through 16, the enemy tried to stop God's plan before you were born. And that same enemy tries in every way to thwart God's work. First, by making it difficult to conceive you. And second, by trying to have you taken before birth. For me personally, your birth was very moving. I was deeply changed when I married your mother, and it took a lot not only to bring you into the world, but to get you this far. For that, we owe it all to God. There are many firsts I could expound on, and some things I'd like to apologize for. I can recall many if I really think about it, and I'm in awe of the things that were good and positive that I taught you, which have stayed with you to this day. I'm truly grateful to God for those memories and experiences with you. I could not be more thankful to God for His hand on you and His leading you on your life's journey, and I'm thankful He let me be a part of it. I want to sincerely and publicly apologize for any times I put my fleshly needs and desires through my addiction to alcohol above you and your mother. There is no good excuse for my behavior except that it was another way the enemy tried to destroy us through my drinking. I'm sorry for being a passive, weak leader. You deserved better. But God not only had a plan for you, I believe He used you to encourage and inspire me to seek God's help to fight the enemy, so that I could become not only who He called me to be, but the father you needed me to be. I can't thank God enough for not giving up on me, for you and Him not giving up on me. Believe it or not, even in the depths of my illness, I always prayed for God to father you when and where I couldn't. I prayed that God would lead you, guide you, provide for you, protect you, and bless you, and He did. When Mom and I were complacent and content to be lazy in our walk with God and to watch church on TV, you were not willing to settle for that. You began seeking God to help you make friends, lose weight, work out, and discover His purpose for your life. God has clearly shown us His mercy in many ways that led us both to this place. What the enemy meant for bad, God meant for good. I hold on to what God said through Mark in Mark 1:11, "You are my son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased. Well done, son." There are still some things as your dad I can teach you, help you with, or advise you on simply because of my age and experience and past mistakes. But as far as your walk with God and the journey that you are on with Him, there's not a whole lot more I can say. The Lord promises us in His Word in Isaiah 41:10, "I am with you." He also tells us in Jeremiah 29:11 that He has plans for you, plans to prosper you. I know without a doubt you are a living proof of Proverbs 3:5 and 6, that if you keep your focus on Him, like Peter in Matthew 14:28, you too can walk on water. And lastly, if you keep the faith as taught in Mark 11:22-23, you can move mountains. Mason, I'm proud of the man of God you've become. I'm thankful for you. I believe in you and I love you. In Numbers 6:24-26, Moses speaks a blessing over Israel. It says, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace." Blessings to you, Mason. And lastly, Mason. Hebrews 10:24-25 says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, and some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." Your mother and I are very proud of you and the way you have allowed God to spur you on. And we know that He's going to use you to spur on others. And as a symbol of that, we wanted to present you with something to help you spur on others with. If you will, open the box.
Finally, my brothers, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against rulers, against the authorities, or against the powers of this dark world. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people.
Gentlemen, trying to get where I can see all of you at once. There we go. You were born with purpose, separated by choice, redeemed through sacrifice, and now destined for service. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and you will prosper in the economy of God's kingdom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehekeyanu v'kiyumanu v'higiyanu latzman hazeh b'shat b'yehi. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe. For you granted us life, you have sustained us, and you have brought us to this day. This marks the end of the beginning. Stand to your feet. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. Ya'el Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom. The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance on you and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. It's my joy and honor to present to you the graduating class of February 2026. Y'all stand to your feet and give them a round of applause.